This clip of the Texas Bucket List is brought to you by Spirit of Texas Bank, Slovacek Sausage, Germania Insurance, We Rent It, and RV Source. Howdy, and welcome back to the Texas Bucket List. You know, the beauty and mystique of West Texas truly is glorious, and one of the most popular stops in this part of our steamy state is Marfa. Known for its eccentric artsy feel and Texas charm, Marfa is a unique blend of culture and history. One of those historic stops happens to be a hotel with a connection to Hollywood lore. Along the city streets of Marfa, every sunset seems to tell a story. Surrounded with so much history, it's hard to pick a specific place to put yourself back in time. That is until you come across an old hotel with nearly 100 years of history.
It is a different place, isn't it?
Vicky Barge is the general manager of Hotel Paisano, a hotel built in 1930 that's near and dear to her heart.
I just have this personal interest and love in historic hotels.
Hotel Paisano started rising up out of the Trans-Pecos terrain in October of 1929, the same month as the stock market crash of the Great Depression. By June of 1930, the inn, billed as the most elegant hotel between El Paso and San Antonio, opened its doors to guests and cattle ranchers who came to town to cut deals on livestock. Of course, the dim lights in the desert have been attracting tourists to this town and to this hotel from all over the world. But when a few of the brightest stars of the big screen descended upon Marfa to make movie magic, El Paisano was the place to poke around.
There were actually 4 hotels in town at the time, and every hotel room was taken by cast and crew, which was, great boon to the town. The main characters, the main stars were here in our hotel: Rock Hudson, Elizabeth Taylor, James Dean. But we do know where they stayed during the time they were here, as well as Dennis Hopper and Chill Wills. We know the area where they stayed.
It was the summer of 1955 when some of the biggest stars of yesteryear walked these halls while filming the movie classic Giant. At the time, Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor were the biggest billed stars, and the rooms they stayed in are open to guests.
So this is the Rock Hudson suite.
All right.
Now at the time he stayed here, it was a room, so it would have been from like here over. It was a corner unit, so slightly larger than some of the other rooms, but it wasn't this full suite.
So Rock Hudson got a corner suite because he was more of the star, and then James Dean kind of got a room that was just along the hall.
Just a regular room because he wasn't quite as far up the charts as Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor at the time.
And of course, I'm sure there was rumors about Rock and Elizabeth that were unfounded.
There were, since they were just across the hall from each other. That was the local gossip.
While these 2 rooms are popular, there is one other that brings the rebel out in everyone who seeks it. The room James Dean stayed in.
It's amazing to me the number of teenage girls today who still swoon over James Dean. So he's everlasting popularity there.
So how often is that room rented out?
Consistently, yeah. It's seldom empty. People ask for it. And if they can only stay in it one day and then have to move out, they're happy. Folks want to stay in the James Dean room.
Giant was Dean's last film, so the hotel has kept his old room as original as possible.
We've not retiled that bathroom. It's a little dingy with age, but we hesitate to touch it too much. We want to try and keep that, since it's the last of the original rooms from those stars that stayed here.
To view their progress on the film, the stars, director, and staff would sit in this room to watch their reels.
They would show dailies in our ballroom as well as in the Palace Theater across the street. The dailies were flown out to Hollywood, developed, and flown back in, and was open to the public. The dailies were.
Today, all that really remains is the memories and a case filled with fading photographs of the time when Giant came to town.
The backboards behind the photographs and then that one long beam across the top were actually taken from the set of the movie. And then all of these, the majority of these photos are stills from the filming.
And they're signed by everyone in it.
I think almost all of them are, yes.
That's amazing. that
Signed
these
by
are
the
still here.
actors. It is, especially knowing, the history of it being open. I mean, I can remember when we first moved to Fort Davis in the mid-90s, coming over to Marfa one day before I really knew that much about Marfa, and walking through the lobby just to see the building.
And these were here then?
They were.
Marfa continues to attract celebrities from all over the world. Heck, you never know who you might run into in this West Texas town. But for some reason, it's hard to top the time Rock, Elizabeth, and James came here. And when you add their mystique to the marvel and memoirs of this old West Texas hotel, well, it becomes well worth a stop on the Texas bucket list.
Because of its charm, because it is just an extremely beautiful building, and because of the history, because Giant was filmed here. Every Texan needs to see that. The place where those folks were, the place where that was filmed. And everybody needs to see this part of their state.